What's up, y'all? Candy Girl here with my 2 cents about a couple of requested topics. One of them being the comments from Donald Trump about immigrants, and then also the Metoo movement. Okay. Before I get started, hello to all my first-time viewers and to my newest subscribers. Thank you so very much for clicking on my video, for being interested in me. Please go ahead and, continue to watch my older videos. Give me comments on things and how you feeling about certain topics. Don't be shy. I try to respond to every single comment unless it's on some bullshit. So keep that in mind, okay? Anyways, let's go ahead and get into the topic at hand, okay? So, if you hadn't heard by now, which I don't understand why you wouldn't, but hey, if you don't live in America, which some of my viewers don't, then I guess I could understand that. But anyway, so Donald Trump said that he does not know why why we keep allowing all these people from these shithole countries into the U.S. All right. So, first of all, he was talking about countries of color. He was talking about Haiti and African countries like Nigeria. And he wanted to open up the borders and encourage immigration from countries such as like Norway and stuff. Not to say that those are bad countries. It's just that he called countries of color shitty and wanted more countries of European descent to come into the country. People had defended him, saying that, he was simply saying that he wanted people who could meaningfully contribute to the economy, blah, blah, blah. And I was just baffled by that comment and by the defense because, first of all, if it wasn't for immigration, if it wasn't for diversity, white people would not be in America. Period. So for him to even think that he should discourage anybody from any shithole country to come to anything related to the United States is just ridiculous, because your people's country was the first shithole country that nobody wanted to live in, apparently, because they came to America, right? And of course, let's just be honest, your country is not a shithole country just because you chose to expand your horizons and go elsewhere. I've traveled outside of the United States into developing countries because I wanted to expand my horizons. It didn't mean that we're in a shithole country. It's just that I wanted to expand my perspective, my horizons. I wanted to give back. I wanted to, have a lot of different experiences in my life before I settled down. You have no reason to tell, you can't really base what a person's reasons are for coming to the country. And even if they were in a shithole country, we are the land of opportunity. We are the land of equal rights and diversity, right? So you should never try to say, then why are we keep on letting these people in? Because even if they did nothing else, they paid their money to get here. They put in an application and gave your people in the federal government a job to process that application. If nothing else, they did stimulate the economy just by asking to come in. So earlier I said I was baffled, but when I really think about it, am I really that surprised? No. Because Donald Trump seems to me to be an arrogant, kind of pompous kind of person that is not in touch with the world and what's really going on, and he's not very presidential. Truth be told, I do agree with some of his policies and some of his positions on things, but it's all in how you phrase things, how you frame it, and also it's all about what you say and how you stand on other issues that cause me to question your motivation for a particular policy that I may agree with for a totally different reason. But anywho, that's really all I'm gonna say about Donald Trump's comments. But in the end of the day, the less acknowledgement we give him, I think the less he's going to start tweeting. He knows what he's doing. And I just feel like the more attention that we give to any of his comments, whether they be on Twitter or in this case in the Oval Office in a private meeting, don't give too much credence to it, because first of all, there's checks and balances and people are definitely checking him, so he can't do whatever he wants to. But it is quite disturbing that the most powerful man in the world is just that racist and overtly racist. And for anybody who says that we should just forget about the past and forgive and move on and be together and live in harmony, when we got people like this in the most powerful position in the world, I am not ever going to forget my past, nor am I going to forget the fact that this shit is alive and well, because it's stuff like that that make us repeat our history. So yeah, we're not doing that. So the next thing I wanted to talk about was the Metoo movement, because for a lot of reasons, women who have been subjected to sexual harassment, sexual assault, sexual misconduct in any way, shape, or form, they all hold a very special place in my heart. And my heart goes out to people who are genuinely trying to come out and say, I have been done wrong and I want this man to stop doing it to me, don't do it to anybody else. And quite frankly, he really shouldn't be seeing the light of day, just for the good of the people. I get that. What bothers me is, what is the motivation for some of the women who are coming to report their experiences 20 years later? Now, it could be a number of things, but for me, if you are coming to report it just so that you can get something off of your chest, waiting 20 years seems to me like a long time to be waiting. And I can't speak to every single person and what their motivation was, but it does cause me to question their motivation, because you waited that long. Why is that something that you believe that you needed to out that person for? But then on the other hand, I do know people who have been the victim of sexual assault and misconduct, and it takes them just that long to come to terms with it and to really come out and say what has happened to them for a number of reasons. What I would say is that people change. Not everybody, but people do change. And forgiveness is really important, not only for yourself, but just for everybody else. And I'm going to tread very lightly on this because I already feel like I'm rattling some feathers. But some people are outing folks to ruin their reputation because they feel like that person was not brought to justice back in the day. So now it's like, you know what, I'm through with having this internal struggle. I'm going to ruin this person's life to help me feel better about the situation, because now I feel like they have been brought to justice. All I can say is that there's a statute of limitations. And one of the policies behind the statute of limitations when it was first enacted was that people cannot be hiding behind, brick walls and underneath rocks trying to evade the law forever. There comes a point in time where you gotta let stuff go, because people don't need to be looking over their shoulder for the rest of their lives over a mistake that they made several decades ago when they were a completely, totally different person. People's cell turnover is every 7 years, such that every 7 years, technically, you are a whole new person. something that happened 20 years ago is almost 3 complete cellular turnover. So you've gotten 3 new people on one human body at that point. Does that make sense? So they would have become a new person 3 times physically at that point. And so the cells in their brains have changed. Not only that, but in their body. And so they could be a totally different person by then. And they have definitely evolved. If not anything else, they have evolved physically. And so, and y'all, I know I'm losing my light. I apologize. In a minute, I'm just blending in with the night. But it is what it is. So anyways, I just feel like for people to be punished for something that they did when they very well were a totally different person does not seem fair to me. So I just feel like unless it's like kidnapping or murder, there comes a point, whether that be 5 years or 10 years or whatever, that we have to let this stuff go and let people move on with their lives and also move on with our own lives. But I can completely understand how, especially men who have been assaulted and been molested, it takes a very long time for people to come forth because of this stigma that's associated with, you know, being the victim of some kind of sexual assault. And just the fear and the blaming that they have on their own selves. And sometimes it takes them a while to realize that this was really not my fault. This was this monster being a predator, and I was a child or a teenager or whatever, and I did not deserve that. But I do think that people should come forward, especially if that person is still working with youth, or there has been a very recent allegation that people are questioning the veracity of that person. So if this person comes forward and says, I was raped, and nobody wants to believe them, and the guy is saying, well, bitch, you can't prove it, so leave it alone. Well, if somebody says, well, I believe her because 20, 30 years ago he raped me, so this man is a rapist, and he very well could have not changed, and he probably did rape that young lady, well, then I understand. Also, when we talk about sexual harassment in the workplace, if a person says, hey, that person has been a major supervisory or management official for a big production company for 20, 30 years. And when he was working there, I reported sexual harassment from that man. They did a whole investigation. They had witnesses to back it up, but they chose to keep him because he had all this money. Now, 20 years later, somebody else from the same company is saying that he sexually harassed them. Well, the company had noticed that they are hiring a predator, and they didn't do anything about it. So now that they knew or had reason to know that this person targets women and assaults them or harasses them or whatever, now they're on the hook. So I could see that being helpful in those situations. The last thing that I'm going to say is that I have been watching Funky Dineva for quite some time. And I know I'm just a little itty bitty old YouTuber. Don't nobody really care about my opinion. But this man is saying that he's tired of all of this Metoo stuff, and he's tired of women complaining that they're always being cheated on. You should never, you have no excuse to be over age 30 and to always be cheated on, or to be in a relationship where you constantly getting beat on. You know, you too old to be in a relationship like that. You ought to know better. This is on you. And all I have to say is, okay, you are telling women that when they are a victim of sexual assault, of rape, of domestic violence, that it's their fault because they ought to know better. And for him to think for 1 second that he is in the position to even say something like that, he got a whole lot of fucking nerve. And so I'm not going to say anything else but this. You want to walk around looking like a woman, talking like a woman, but then you disrespect women. And I got a real problem with that. It's like cultural appropriation. You put on this wig and makeup and stuff just for views, because I know you don't walk out in the street like that. I know that for a fact. So you go out and make these videos for views. You get on there and you have some of the most ridiculous makeup. I don't give a fuck if you're a woman or a man. No woman should be walking around looking like that. And so the fact that you're a man looking like that does not matter to me. Nobody should be looking that freaking clownish. You get on that screen looking like a woman, talking like a woman who has no sense whatsoever, and you use it for your own personal benefit. But then you turn around and you mock and disrespect the very people that you are mimicking and trying to represent yourself as in your videos. Stop dressing like a woman and then slapping women in the face with your words and your disrespect. I don't have any time for it. So as a matter of fact, I'm really not gonna watch him no more. But you know, like somebody else says, why would anybody care about my opinion when he's got all these different viewers? Well, it is what it is. But when people say, thank you so much for watching, thank you so much for your support, obviously I have some value. And if in the end of the day you really don't care about my opinion and my support, then you probably are lying about how much you appreciate your viewers and your supporters. Because a real supporter is going to call you out on your shit before you get drugged through the mud. A real supporter is not going to be a yes person all the time. A real supporter is going to tell you, you know what, you're going down a path that is going to cost you a whole lot, and you really should be careful before you alienate yourself from the only people who support you, which is 99% black women and then gay men. Just my 2 cents. Y'all tell me what y'all think in the comments and be respectful before I block your ass. All right, y'all. Love and blessings.